Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play Team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we welcome you back into Horror on the Orient Express. We are currently still in Paris, where we are about to have a wonderful day trip to a local asylum. Before we get to that, though, I'd like you to introduce you to our wonderful cast. To my right.
Hello, I'm Mike, and I'm playing James the Knife Fraser.
To his right.
Hi, I'm Raina, and I'm playing Lady Elizabeth Fitzroy, and I'm voluntarily about to go back into an asylum.
Not a bad idea. At the end of the table.
Hi, this is Giles, and I'm playing Simon the Fist Griffiths.
Very well. Scalpel and fist present. To the fists right.
Hi, I'm Miranda, and I'm playing Maggie Bellinger, who just really wants to save Paul.
You know, don't we all? Don't we all? Maybe I don't, actually. And last but most certainly not least.
I'm Martin, and I'm playing Richard Courtney. And, maybe we can sort of build up an entourage of followers here.
You know, I think you're well on your way if you really think about it. I mean, it's not like you don't have jobs for them. There's all sorts of things they could do. So we'll open our scene in Paris the morning of, early morning, say probably just getting on close to 6 a.m. Several of you have took in some libations late last night, although not enough to where you're at all prevented from meeting that early, chill Parisian morning with a swift smile and proper attire. The schedule for today shows you meeting Paul at Charenton Asylum just about 7 sharp. You notice something very specific as you set out into the morning, that there is a bit of a fog that clings in the air here. Paris streets for the past several days have been clear. Maybe a bit cool, but clear. And today, it maybe is a skosh warmer. Seems to produce a near London-like fog in some of the areas. What method would you be using to get back to Charenton? Would it be taxi, or would you walk the distance? It is some considerable distance away.
I'm taking a taxi because I'm feeling a little fatigued after all the gallivanting about Paris we've been doing for the last few days, so as little walking as possible.
Makes good sense. Mr. Fraser, you have the hotel staff flag you a auto, so that way the group can be taken down to their destination.
Sure, yep.
And so, even the car, as it meanders through the Paris streets, you can tell the driver's being a little careful. You pick up on that, Mr. Griffith, that the driver seems to be paying very close attention to some of these corners, and it is unlike something you've seen recently at all.
I ask the driver in French, "This is strange weather we're having. Is this normal, monsieur?"
He shakes his head and kind of steadies his hat on the somewhat balding head. No, milady, this is, I don't know, it's coming from nowhere.
It's a little strange. But I see you're taking the road very carefully, thank you.
I'm always careful with my passengers.
Quite interesting, thank you. I sort of look at everyone else. Well, I don't quite like it when strange things happen when we're around. Did you discover any more bodies, Miss Bellinger and Professor? Saying this in English.
Not that I can recall.
Not as such.
Well, perhaps it's just a case of bad weather, but the driver says it's not normal, it's not common, it's very strange. So, considering how many strange things have been happening lately when we're about, just be careful, I suppose.
Lady Elizabeth, you're not one to be thrown off by a little bit of weather, are you?
She raises an eyebrow. I never said thrown off, now did I? Just saying be a bit more careful. It's easier for people to go missing in the fog or for things to sneak up on you.
How bad is the fog?
To be honest, Miss Fraser, it's considerable. Your viewing distance is probably 10 to 15 feet on the road. I mean, it's
equivalent to a kind of a pea super in London. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're not used to this kind of weather, but it's a bit strange to have it here in Paris at this time.
Really, what unnerves you about it is not that you're not used to it, because obviously growing up in where you've been and where you've worked, it is something you've gotten accustomed to. It's the Parisians which are not accustomed to it, and they are you can tell there's definitely less traffic on the street. There's less of a mill around in the streets as far as people on foot. Paris has gone a bit muted.
I'm going to keep my eyes peeled because I'm put in mind of the fact that we had strange weather when we were on the ferry across, and there was a rather unpleasant incident.
Richard, make me a spot hidden roll.
So Richard has rolled a 39, which under 60 is a normal success.
Okay. You pass the Louvre. Having left Bristol Hotel, you're just making your way down toward Charenton. And as you continue past the Louvre, there's a bit of a change in speed of the audio as it prepares to slow down, just to make sure that it isn't creeping up too closely to one of the other vehicles. And you'd swear as you pass a line of these trees that are on the boulevard, you'd swear you see Guillaume standing next to a tree, hidden a bit by the fog. And as the auto passes, your face turns to track him, and he acknowledges that he's seen you, just in a briefest of nod.
Maggie.
Is that Guillaume in the fog?
Guillaume,
What is he doing out here?
I don't know.
is this a friend of yours?
Yes, we found him in the catacombs. He had,
You found him?
he had somehow found himself trapped down there. We let him out. Should we stop for him? I hate to leave him out here in the fog.
I do hope he managed to get himself something to eat.
Yes, he did look quite famished. Should we stop for him, do you think, Richard?
Would perhaps be good to see how he's doing. Yes, he did seem rather out of sorts the other day.
Are we all in the same cab?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, you wouldn't mind just briefly for us to stop?
If you're going to have him stop, you're going to have to do it a little quicker than that, because he is
Okay,
continuing
yeah.
down the path.
Got it. Driver, could you pull over for a moment?
Huh? Yes. The auto makes a very sharp right into the curb.
Will be just a moment. I don't know if I want to get out of the car or just like roll down the window and shout to him.
Yeah, it would be impolite to shout, and Richard gets the door.
Okay. And so Maggie will get out and start to approach Guillaume.
And I say in French to the cab driver, my apologies for their behavior. The young lady is American.
You see him look at you a bit quizzically, and then kind of put his he goes palms up, like, what is one to do?
I'd like to roll to see if I understand what she says.
Do you have French?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you should roll, totally. So the two of you pick your way back down the streets towards where you saw Guillaume. And the fog is
Yes.
pretty thick, so the driver was definitely far more than 15 feet.
Yeah.
You pick your way back down the boulevard, the planters, the trees, the benches, and you get to where you think Guillaume was. And you don't see him there. What you do see in this planter that has a large tree inside of it, you see a single gleaming white femur.
Human or?
Definitely.
Okay, just checking. Richard. What is this? Is that a human bone? Is that a human femur?
My biology isn't fantastic. It certainly looks like a bone of some description. Does it have like blood and stuff on it, or is it just a nice clean one?
It's very, very clean. In fact, Professor, it is nearly medically clean. There's no sinew, there's no cartilage, there's no associated anything on it. It almost reminds you of a bones like you saw down in the catacombs, except that this one has been thoroughly cleaned.
Does it look more fresh?
It does look fresher.
It's so strange. I certainly hope nothing bad has befallen Guillaume.
Oh, well, indeed. I'm sure he'd still be here if he was missing
Guillaume?
a bone.
You call out for him.
Are you there?
Madame.
You hear the voice from below you.
Maggie startles.
So at your feet, there is a sewer grate.
Okay,
Nearby.
I thought it was the bone talking.
No.
Oh, Guillaume, what are you doing down there? Have you found yourself trapped again?
No. It is safer for me here than on the streets of Paris.
It's with the fog and the darkness down there, it's very difficult to tell what he's got going on. I mean, you see his eyes for sure, and the ridges of, the sides of his face a little bit, and maybe a brief bit of his lower face there, but you can't see his entire face.
Guillaume, are you okay? Are you hurt or anything? We were worried about you. We thought we'd check on you when we saw you.
Yes.
I am perfectly fine. There's a rustling down in that area. You hear something moving around a bit.
Guillaume, is there someone else down there with you? Something?
No, there's nothing down here.
You can hear like a strain in his voice.
I saw you too, and I wanted to say thank you.
Well, it's good to see you again.
Yes, you're quite welcome. We certainly couldn't leave you down there.
I do hope you found something to eat. Are you well fed now? Did you manage to find something?
Yes, I found some food.
Ah, that's good.
Maggie, why don't you give me a spot hidden roll?
Certainly. Ooh, 18 against 25.
Sometimes it does pay, I suppose, to not have high spot hidden. Anyway, Guillaume's face, even though it's shrouded, you can tell. Maybe it's something you didn't notice before. Maybe it's something your brain refused to recognize. But he is mightily disfigured.
Oh.
In fact, it's quite disturbing the way his nose is no longer a part of his body, and there's something missing about his face. Oh, that's oh my. You feel a twinge of terror rush through your muscles, grab hold of your shoulders. Why don't you make me a sanity roll?
I could certainly understand why he would feel safer down there without people having to look at him. 83 against 69.
So that will be 2 points of sanity I take from you this evening.
Okay.
Yes, as wonderful as it was freeing him, as strange as it might have been to find him down in the cavern. Whatever he is most certainly not human. It may have been at one time, but it is not anymore. And Richard, as you're standing next to Maggie, having taken up the femur, your thumb and forefinger begin to feel indentations in it along a row of the bone here.
Is this yours?
Not any longer, Professor.
Okay. Richard just sort of puts it gingerly back in the planter.
Please, take this.
He extends a rather weathered, dark-skinned hand out of this grate. And in it, there are 2 rings.
Oh.
My wife has long since passed. I have no need for them. But perhaps the 2 of you someday may.
Why, that's very thoughtful of you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Guillaume. I wouldn't be displeased if we ran into you again sometime. I'm glad to see that you're doing okay, though.
We are surviving.
You hear another series of shuffling and almost... It sounds like there's a wild animal down there with him. Although it's not so much making any animal sounds, but there's a great bit of shuffling.
Guillaume told me there wasn't anything down there. It's strange. Well, I suppose if you don't need anything else from us, Guillaume, we should be on our way. I do love the gift.
Yes, it's very nice. Thank you. Very thoughtful.
He almost melds back into the shadows of the sewer. And when he does so, you can tell that while you saw his right hand and it held up the rings to you, in his left hand he is cradling something. And his left hand is a little bit larger than his right, just a little bit larger than his right. And you can tell that he's covering the mouth of something, a creature, a person. You're not entirely sure. You see it for the briefest of instants before the shadows swallow it whole.
Well, perhaps he's got himself a pet.
Yes, a dog or something. That's
yes, a small dog or
yes.
a cat.
That's what somebody would have on. Yes, in Paris with them.
If his wife is gone, he needs something to keep him company.
Yes. Richard's not sure about this whole thing now. Well, I think we should be getting back to that taxi before
yes.
before it goes.
I don't want to keep them waiting too long. Let's head back.
You head back to the taxi. The driver has, during this time, gotten out, had a smoke, and talked with a couple of other locals about the massive fog problems.
We're awfully sorry for keeping you all waiting. We did find Guillaume and checked in on him. He seems to have taken up residence in the sewers.
The sewer?
Lady Eve lifts both eyebrows.
Is he quite well?
Well, he did seem
He was doing better.
yes.
I mean, is it healthy to be living in the sewers?
Well,
Oh, well, I'm not sure. He said it was safer down there.
when in Paris.
Yes.
When in Paris, live in the sewer. Well,
We didn't get to see him very well when we were in the catacombs, or now, but he seems to have some facial deformities. He did give us a gift to show his thanks.
I hesitate to ask.
Oh, no, it was his wife has passed away, and so he gifted us their rings.
Well, that was very kind of him. So he says, well, perhaps it is due to his deformity. Perhaps he feels less vulnerable down below the streets.
Oh, that's what I thought as well, and maybe that's how he found himself trapped down in the catacombs.
Well, that would explain it.
We also, there was a human bone Do we need to report that to the authorities or anything, do you think?
I think it would be best not to.
Was the bone anywhere near your sewer friend?
No, it was above the sewer. It was in this, like a planter.
And I ain't gonna grow anything, you know.
No, I'm sure it was just there. I'm sure it was just a coincidence.
It's very strange. Well, we should be on our way, right?
The driver gets back in. Shall we continue?
Yes, of course.
Now, where will we off to again, madam?
Yes, Charenton Asylum.
The driver's eyes get big. Charenton?
Oh, don't worry. Yes, we're just visiting. We're doing some research there.
The driver says to you, Miss Lady Elizabeth, he says, "You take the American there?"
Yes. She got out yesterday.
Very good. He puts the car into gear and continue off down the road. So for the two of you who have not been to the asylum before, it is a rather foreboding place in its size and in its scope. It's a building that's set back far from the street, and there's a big yard in the front where you'd imagine that any sort of physical activities that patients might engage in would be done there. It's got a high wrought iron fence, probably on the order of 2.5 to 3 meters tall. It's backed by stone, and it's got quite the feel to it. You can feel this place look back at you when you arrive. And the fog is doing nothing to soften its image. Charenton is not just an institution here in Paris that is set back a bit, but it's also very large. And you can tell that the halls of this place sweep left and sweep right. And so you're just hoping that you don't get lost. Across the street, when you arrive, you see Paul. He's got his hand clasped to his briefcase, and he is standing next to the same light pole that the three of you had seen him there after work hours last night. And he tips his hat to you as you get out of the car. Oh, good morning.
Merci, monsieur.
I do appreciate you coming on time.
Yes, well, punctuality is a virtue.
You can see that the guards that were strolling the grounds before when you were here yesterday, Lady Elizabeth, they are in their guardhouses. They seem to be reading the morning paper, having smokes. Maybe if you were still eating a croissant and having their morning coffee. And Paul doesn't so much introduce himself to either of you, Mr. Fraser or Mr. Griffin. He begins swiftly marching towards the front gates.
I take it this is the gentleman, Paul, that telling us about, yes?
Yes, quite. We should follow him?
He certainly doesn't seem to stand on ceremony, does he?
Yes, well, I've come to learn that ceremony is not exactly a French virtue.
He gets to the front gate, and you see a worker, not a guard, come up to the front gate and opens the gate. Well, looks maybe it's a groundskeeper. And then once he opens the front gate, the guards left or right look up, but when they see the groundskeeper open the gate, they go back to what they were doing. And the 5 of you get motioned forward from where you're standing.
Well, in we go. Lady just sort of strides in. Well, strides, more like very slowly and dignified.
So Paul keeps the gate open for everyone. And once everyone is inside, closes it shut. And then flips the locking mechanism over. Visiting us not for another hour. Mr. Fraser, you notice immediately that this man speaks with an English accent. He's not French.
Sure. I'm also keeping my eyes very well peeled as we get out of the car and head through the gate. I am sizing up the 2 orderlies or guards that are at the gate as well.
From your experience, these 2 gentlemen look like a pair of knuckle draggers.
Mm-hmm.
They're most likely either former war combatants or maybe former gendarmes. They've got an air to them. They're not really interested in any sort of proper manners or making friends. They're here to crack skulls if necessary. You can tell by the truncheons that they carry.
Indeed. Yes, I would imagine that there's occasion for a little bit of enforcement of physical variety. Yes, so I imagine some of the patients can get a bit unruly.
You can imagine. Visiting hours are not for another hour, so if we're quick, I can get you in to see the doctor, and you can continue your search for this Comte.
Well, thank you, Monsieur. I'm sorry, I understand your name is Paul, but I didn't catch your surname.
Major Haven.
I see, and you are English, I take it, yes?
Guilty. He smiles. He walks forward. There's a very long walk to the main building. Mr. Griffith and Mr. Fraser will notice that it puts basically about 50 or so yards between the front gate and the front door. There's quite a bit of space here. And it does kind of put you, it would normally expose you, but with the morning fog, it almost cloaks you against some of the other orderlies that are hanging around. And talking about the fog, you can hear their voices ripple through the dead space between you and the sanitarium. Paul leads you in the front door and into the foyer and the halls beyond. This is not the pinnacle of asylums. You can tell here that the building has been in use for several hundred years and likely served during the Reign of Terror and probably several hundred years before that. In fact, your clues specifically say that the Comte was brought here during the Reign of Terror and supposedly locked up. And what you're searching for is a record of that holding. You need to match up the clues from the captain of the guard's diary and what supposedly the records here should show. The walk to the office is the doctor's office. It is relatively quick. I'd say it's about 5 minutes up some stairs and then onto the second floor. There is a receiving office and then an administrative office before Dr. LaRoe's personal offices. And so opens up the outer office and looks in and says, and then turns back to the group of you and says, do you all expect to go in there? Is that the plan?
Well, not necessarily, I don't think. Your ladyship?
Miss Bellinger, Professor, this part seems to be your undertaking, does it not?
Yes, I think that would be quite all right.
Yes,
I'm up to the desk.
Do you think we should try and find the records on the Comte before we suggest anything a little more forward?
Yes, I don't think we'd want to burn any bridges while there were still information here to find out.
Yes.
Well, if that is the case, there is the record rooms we were in yesterday. And then there is the holding room that is in the basement. Now, most of the records have been brought up and have been corrected. But there are some which Dr. Rowe moved to the basement. You're welcome to search there as well.
Basement's wonderful.
Yes.
Everybody loves a good basement. Let's go then.
We might get more success in the basement. We've didn't seem to strike very lucky in the record room upstairs.
Yes.
Very well.
Real quick, Mike, I might have missed it. Is the box still there? The box we wanted?
You would have to go in through the next office and into his outer office where his secretary sits to see if the box is still there.
I might just ask a favor of Paul then. Paul, we were interested in possibly taking a look at what is in the box next to the secretary's desk. We had seen it yesterday. I believe it holds your previous administrator's research findings or notes.
Yes. They have any of his records there. His voice dips to a whisper.
Mm-hmm.
As we mentioned last night at dinner, if they're to be removed and they'd be on her desk, but I can't risk going in there and looking at them. I mean, it would be my job.
Yes. I was actually considering that, Paul. Possibly, myself and my companions here could consider employing your services while we are here in Paris.
I understand what you're driving at, Miss Bellinger, but any letter the doctor might write about anything I might do would damage my long-term career. You understand? I'm happy to lead you or any of your group to the records room, but if you're interested in getting a personal look at the files, you would be on your own reconnaissance, you understand?
Yes, I do understand. I wouldn't want to tarnish your reputation, though I do believe that some members of our party can write quite good letters themselves.
Might I suggest we do both things? Why don't some of us go to the basement and start having a look at the records there, see if we can find any reference to the Comte, and then perhaps we can have a conversation with the administrator, and if there is anything to look at on the way, perhaps we could take a look.
I think that would be a great idea. And Paul, if you were to lead some of our party downstairs, then you, of course, couldn't be held accountable for anything that we did while you were away.
That seems reasonable to me. Who's with me then?
Well, I'm interested in the basement.
I'll accompany you, your ladyship, if that would be suitable for you.
Yes, Mr. Fraser, I could use your assistance.
Mr. Griffith, what task do you find yourself more suited for? Records or some spy work?
I'm not going to go through the records. I can either stand watch, put some of these gorillas in their places, or we can do some spy work, as you like to say.
Like how you think, Mr. Griffith. Then I guess you're with us.
I guess so. Can you be quiet, Miss Maggie?
From time to time.
All right.
Paul turns and begins leading Lady Elizabeth and Mr. Fraser towards the records room in the basement. Professor, where are you staying at? Are you staying here on this floor, or are you going down to the records room?
Richard really does want to have a look in the records room, but he's not going to leave Maggie alone trying to talk to this administrator. And he really doesn't get on with this French filing system. It makes no sense to him at all.
Fair enough. And so we will split the party again. So I'm going to start with Lady Elizabeth and Mr. Fraser. The walk down from the second floor to the first and then through some of the halls here at Charenton is, in a word, ghastly. Just for the distance, if not for some of the smells that come from this place. You've been a part of several encampments when necessary, Mr. Fraser, back during the war, and these lot could use a bit of cleaning up. Some of the patients here are not only unkempt, but they are unattended, and a few of them even wander the halls.
Mr. Maverhaven, is it usual for the patients to be in this state?
No, it is not. We have had an outbreak here recently. Several of the orderlies have taken sick, and we are a bit short-staffed. So, unfortunately, some of the patients who are normally docile and perfectly reasonable, yet still recovering, they like to go and knock on doors and join their friends, if you don't mind me saying.
I see. Really, it's a little disconcerting.
Well, Dr. Leroux has he's impressed with the staff that there is going to be a whirlwind of cleanup here. But well, to be perfectly honest, sir, the French government isn't interested in funding it very much longer, and so he is fighting tooth and nail for every franc he can get his hands on.
I see. A good man, this Leroux, did you say?
Yeah, Leroux. Yes, he's good. I don't know, to be honest. He's a technocrat, if you take my meaning.
I'm afraid I don't follow.
He's a man of blacks and whites, of numbers, and so he concerns himself with what should be done to make this run more like a factory.
And what of the patients? What is his attitude towards the patients? Surely they should be his priority here.
He leaves most of that up to lesser doctors and assistants. He's much more of a hospital administrator than he is a practicing doctor.
I see. But it sounds like, from what you said, that it sounds like he does have the good interests of the patients at heart. Am I picking this up wrong?
No, I think that it's fairly well taken. Truly wants to see people recover. He's new. He's only been here 2 weeks. And so it's hard to get a good read on everything. You understand?
Yes, I understand his predecessor passed away under slightly unusual circumstances.
Yes, he looks at Lady Elizabeth. As I discussed with Lady Elizabeth here last night over dinner, he did pass, unfortunately, it appears, as a victim of his own treatments, or one of the devices therein.
His own... I'm sorry, he was treating himself?
He steps into a hallway, and you see a stairway coming up. Yeah, yes. If he steps in, and once the two of you get in, he closes the door, and then takes a pretty wide look around. Dr. Deplace, he was working with electroshock therapy, and I found him attached to the machine. And it seemed that it, likely through no fault of his own, had been turned on while he was hold of it.
I'm sorry. He had attached. What did you call it? Electroshock.
Yes.
To himself.
Yes.
Why would he do such a thing?
I don't know. And the to be honest with you both, I think the hospital's desperate to cover it up. They don't want it hitting the papers. They don't want the papers finding out that there were some, shall we say, radical therapies being used here by the former administrator, and that he may have died from those same radical therapies.
And you're quite sure that there was nobody else involved in this, that he wasn't perhaps connected up to it against his own will?
No, sir, I am not.
I mean, it does seem... Why would... I mean, if he is using this as therapy for his patients, why would he strap it to himself? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry if I seem somewhat less than intelligent in this matter.
No,
but
you're having all the same thoughts that I had that night when I found him. It made no sense. I had to go to the breakers just on the far side of the hall here and shut the machine down that way, because he was so he had both of the attenuators in his hand, these prongs used, and his muscles were seized completely. I could not strip him away from the machine for the life of me. Then to touch him, without the use of a wooden pole or cane, because I didn't want to be caught up in the current.
Aye, indeed, electricity is a powerful thing.
I still haven't forgotten it.
What is your suspicion here, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, you knew the man, I take it. You worked with him.
Yeah, it was about 6 months. 6 months I worked with him. You guys are moving down the stairs now into the basement. About 6 months we worked together, and I think he had a vision of treatment that he was trying to pass on to me, to the field, and I think that in the end he began to believe that he had a pathway to heal people, to access a method of recovery, and is wild as it sounds, I think he may have believed his own vision too much. I think it took him.
So you think that he had some experimental form of treatment and he was trying it out on himself rather than his patients?
Or at least trying it out on his patients and then himself afterwards.
Have any of his patients been cured by this treatment of his?
I think cure is a strong word. I don't personally like the word when it comes to this sort of thing, to be honest. I would say it's about a 50-50 situation.
But nobody else has been affected by it in the same way that he was?
No one. And whatever his aims were that night, I don't think that they went as planned.
I'm tempted to say it's quite shocking, but I'm going to resist that temptation.
He opens the door with a key to another room. This room is mustier, probably, than the two of you are used to. And there are several, there aren't even filing cabinets here, they're just bookshelves. And they're filled with what look like manila envelopes that are tied into packs. And you can see that there are writing on the bookshelves for the years. I suppose if you'd like to start your search, this would be the place to do it, milady.
Lady Elizabeth is all but rubbing her hands together in glee.
I will leave the two of you there. I assume that you're going to begin your search. That's a library use roll and a French roll as well.
All right. Let's see. Library use is 75, so good shot at 58 under 75. That's a success. And my French... I will spend 1 point of luck to make the French a success.
Okay. So, Mr. Fraser, are you going to help her with this search at all?
I'm going to do whatever I can. I mean, I don't have skills. I have a little French. I have next to no library use.
All right, fair enough. If you'd like to assist her with a library use, you can. It's really the only method of... I suppose you would probably have to make both rolls, but I'm fine with starting with just the library use for now.
Let's see what I can do. I mean, if nothing else, I can carry the books for her.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a library use of 20. And I rolled a 97.
All right, fair enough. You are helping, quote unquote, her search through...
I found something. This is the very thing you're looking for.
Paul, after he gets you situated, there's a very small desk in this records room. It's not very large. It's maybe 5 or so meters square. It's not a very large room at all. He turns to the both of you and says, morning duties I must attend to, so I shall be back momentarily. If you would, just keep the door shut.
Of course.
I'll look up from the pile of books that I've just dropped and I'm picking up. Aye.
He steps out of the room, and when the door shuts, Mr. Fraser, it spooks you a bit, and some more files go tumbling to the left.
Oh, botheration.
So back upstairs, Maggie, Mr. Griffith, and the professor sit outside a couple of offices, knowing that Dr. LaRoe's main administrative office waits a few rooms over. But their target is the secretary's office, yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So how will you go about this then?
I think we should ask the secretary if we can see Dr. LaRue, and maybe we can just take it from there. So we'll wing it, as it were.
Yes, we probably shouldn't assume that he wouldn't let us see what's in the box.
Well, maybe we just need to get the secretary to go somewhere else for a short period of time. I mean, there are 3 of us and 1 of her.
Yes, this is one of those classic permission or forgiveness scenarios.
Why don't y'all just distract the secretary and I'll take the box out?
I was rather hoping she might go and get us a coffee or something, and
Yes. I mean, it is customary to offer guests like a drink or water or coffee. Yes.
Sure, they do that all the time at the best asylums.
Just professional manners, I'm sure. Yes. And if not, perhaps we can stage a distraction.
absolutely.
I just go with the distraction. Seriously?
Well, the coffee is a distraction, Mr. Griffith.
Oh my gosh.
They're not barbarians.
Well,
Have you smelled this place?
Yes, fair point.
It's like a barracks.
well, let's head in and we'll just shoot from the hip.
Poor secretary is going to get murdered.
Things get out of hand real fast.
Oh no, I've seen. You enter the outer secretarial offices. So this administration portion is more of a 6-desk area where there are a series of filing cabinets and just a general office. Those of you, Maggie, especially somebody who's probably a little bit more recognizable as far as this is more recognizable as more like it feels like a newsroom floor almost. You see typewriters. They're all dead silent at this point because nobody's in yet. At the far end of the room, there's a door which leads to his personal offices, and you can see that there are signs in French and nameplates up. And so you walk to the end of that room. Now, you two, Maggie and Richard, have the benefit of having been here yesterday, so you know where you're going. You can tell from the windows on the left-hand side of this room, though, how high the fog is sitting outside, and it's actually covering up the bottom end of this window. So that fog seems to go up pretty high. It hasn't burned off from the daylight just yet.
This fog seems somewhat persistent.
Yes, it seems to just be settling in for the day. Hopefully it'll burn off soon, though.
Yes.
You hear the distant click and clack of a typewriter going as you get closer and closer to this door.
So is this the room with the box of records in?
It is. This is also where Dr. Leroux's secretary sits, just outside of his office.
So can we actually see her, or is she inside the office at the minute?
She is inside the office at the minute, but the door is slightly ajar.
So Richard will sort of look at Mr. Griffith and sort of look down at the box of records, and then sort of look at Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
Should we announce ourselves?
So the box of records is on the other side of the door, right? Like
it is. So the box of records, to be clear, the box of records is in her office. It's sitting next to her desk. So
yeah. So we got to go in. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought they were in this office, and this office was empty.
No, sir.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
What fun would that be?
Come on, Mary.
Sounded too easy.
Yes. Well, let's head in, and Maggie will just walk in.
Oh,
taking the lead.
Good morning. You see the
yes, excuse me.
elderly, not elderly, but an older lady, blonde hair, fair skin. She stops typing, and you see her stub out a cigarette. She kind of blows the last breath of it out, and she waves it away as if it'll just go away in an instant. Can I help you?
Oh, yes. I'm quite sorry to come in unannounced. We were hoping to speak with Dr. Leroux. Is it Leroux?
Gosh, yes, Leroux.
Okay.
Mike, could I ask a quick question?
You can.
So I'm trailing in behind them, keeping calm. I don't know if you want me to spin stealth now or not. And where are the records in the room?
You spied the box. It's at the far end of her secretarial office. It's nearest the door to Leroux's office.
Mm-hmm. So is it essentially us, Secretary Box Leroux's office?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes, we were hoping to speak with Dr. Leroux.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. The doctor's not in yet. He should be coming in. She looks at the clock on the wall. Just any moment now.
Oh, you were nice enough to let us look through the records yesterday, and we just had a couple of questions. We heard about the unfortunate incident here last week. We're quite sorry about that.
I'm sorry. What incident?
The death of Dr. What's-his-faces?
Yes, Dr. Delpla's place.
Duplacis.
Yes, the death of Dr. Duplass.
Oh, yes. She looks down at the desk. Very unfortunate. He was a doctor for several years. He hired me. She points at herself.
Oh.
I'm sliding by the desk, Mike.
Okay, so you're going to have to slide. Here's the difficulty about this. Before you roll anything, let me set this out so that way you understand. There is the secretary, okay? She faces the door that you guys came in.
Yes.
The box of files is by the doctor's office door to her left.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So if you attempt to slide past everybody towards his door, there's literally no way you can make a stealth roll because you're walking directly in front of her vision.
Yeah, we're in a small open room.
Yes.
Okay. I understand. I'm just trying to. I'm reaching out psychically to Maggie and to Richard, saying like, occupy her attention.
Yeah. Okay. Maggie looks back at him and conveys with her eyes. I'm working on it. It takes longer than 30 seconds and a hello, buddy. So just hold your britches.
We're speaking proper American. It's totally going over Richard's head right.
Yes, but we're speaking American with our eyes, so he really doesn't understand it.
That's how all Americans speak, with their eyes.
Yeah.
Richard starts to cough.
Okay. She looks at you. Are you all right?
I'm afraid I suffer from acid indigestion. Might I avail you of a glass of water? My apologies.
Of course. She stands firmer up to attention and sweeps out of her room. There's a water right out here. She pats you a bit on the shoulder and kind of gestures back out into the larger office area.
Could you show me? And Richard will sort of try and follow her and then put himself between any doors and her.
Okay. Yeah, it's not far. She's only going like maybe 6 to 8 paces.
Yeah.
There's there's not a cart of refreshment, but there is a faucet in the office where it looks like staff probably get water from.
Thank you. Do you have a glass or a cup that I might use?
Yeah. Yes. She reaches around the other side of the table and goes for a glass. Now, she is fairly distracted. Thanks to Richard. So, Mr. Griffith, would you like to make a stealth roll?
I'm going to push that roll.
Oh, well, I'm so glad you said that. So, why don't you tell me how you're going to push the roll before you push it?
I am realizing that she can turn around any moment. I'm going to grab the records, and instead of trying to leave the room with them, I'm just going to flip them to the other side of the desk out of her eyesight, and then mask them with my body standing in front of them. I'm assuming this is not a big box, correct?
It's not a huge box, but it's a fairly sized box.
It's like a copy or paper box, correct?
Yeah, it's probably a copy or paper, maybe a little bit larger than that.
Right, so I'm hoping to mask, enough of it with my body that they're not going to notice, and just get it out of the direct view. Because I realize at this point, I tripped a little trying to go get it. I don't have the time to get out of the room, so I'm going to move it to a more auspicious area out of her line of sight.
Makes sense. Go ahead, roll it.
39 under 60.
Okay. As quick as you possibly can, reach down and move it to a place where once she even comes back in the room, you'll be able to mask it with your, size, your body size. You haven't gotten it out of the room yet, but you have access to it in much better angles now.
and she doesn't have direct line of sight to it.
Not with you standing in front of it.
And her desk is also in the way if she were to sit back down.
Yeah, basically. Yep. Martin, you get your drink of water. She does her best to make sure that you're settled.
Yeah. Yes, that can come on rather suddenly. They say it's due to eating the wrong kind of food, and I must admit, I do eat rather a plain diet. Back in London, we, British, the food is rather bland compared to your fine French fare. I have to tell you, have you been to the Bristol? We had an absolutely fantastic dinner there, but it was very rich, and I do fear that, and the breakfast, the many courses did somewhat what set this off again. I'm afraid. Perhaps it's just back to some simple foods for me.
Professor, I get the feeling that you're trying to keep her attention. Is that true?
I think that would be fair to say.
All right, why don't you make me a charm roll?
Richard's not particularly charming.
Well, I mean...
Oh, don't sell yourself short there, Richard.
He's good at persuading people, but he's not particularly charming. I'm going to spend 6 points of luck, I think. That was 21 against a 15.
All right. You hold her attention. And Maggie and Simon, you can see that. It seems that Richard's keeping her at bay for the moment.
Does it seem like I have enough time to get the box and sprint?
You have enough time to get the box. I mean, if you choose to sprint, then let me know.
Okay, I will get the box and I will start ambling quietly, stealthily behind her back out of the rooms.
I guess it depends on which way she's facing, right?
It does.
Well, I'm not going to walk in front of her with the box unless I'm carrying the box behind my back.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and make a stealth roll and see if you can get the box out of her office.
I'm going to push that roll again. And then I'm going to throw these dice away.
So you went and you picked up the box and you're moving out of the door. And you see, as you're moving out of the door, she's going to turn back her attention to her office, likely, because just in the natural course of her, human senses, she's picked up there's some noise from there. So what will you be doing to counter her from sensing what you're doing?
I'm going to turn around sharply. So my back is to her, and I'm covering the box with my body.
Okay.
And I'm going to set it down like I'm tying my shoe.
Okay.
31 under 60.
Okay. You set it down, tie your shoe using your size to cover the space of the box. She looks your direction. You can feel her look, but it doesn't stay for more than a moment. Maggie, you see that Simon has gotten the box out of her office.
Mm-hmm. Does it seem like he's just trying to get it into that other office, or is he trying to get it out?
It looks like his aim is to get it out of the offices.
Okay. Maggie will say, "Yes, Mr. Griffith, I don't think that all three of us need to wait here. Myself and Richard can handle that just fine if you wanted to join the others down in the basement looking through the old records. I think it would be a waste of time for all three of us to be up here. To give him, an excuse as, a reason why he's just walking out."
Sure, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to continue on your path, Mr. Griffin?
Has she turned back around, or is she staring at me at this point?
No, she's looking at Maggie now because Maggie's talking.
Okay, I'm going to slide down the hallway and hope for the best.
Well, you're gonna go out of this. You're going to attempt to get out of the outer offices first.
Yes. 15 under 60. That's an extreme.
Okay. You make a very calm and even stride towards the door. And you go and reach for the door handle to get out. And the door opens for you. And an older very clean-shaven, very well-dressed, spectacle-wearing man steps into the doorway area. And as the two of you get closer and closer, he stops. And he says, "Oh, pardon me," and he steps to the side to let you exit.
Merci, monsieur.
And then he steps inside. Maggie and Richard see Dr. Leroux walk into the main office, having just let Simon walk out the door.
Oh, you must be Dr. Leroux. It's very nice to meet you.
Good morning, mademoiselle. He looks at Richard as he's kind of still a bit doubled over and probably recovering.
Should we already meet him?
Bonjour. A spot of indigestion.
Sorry to hear that. Perhaps one of the attending physicians could assist you.
Oh, it's a long-running problem, but I thank you for the offer.
Very well. What can I assist the two of you with?
We'd certainly appreciate you letting us use the facilities for some research. We had the pleasure of having Paul help us in the records yesterday and today as well.
Yes.
Yes, the poor young man does seem somewhat out of sorts. What with all the unpleasantness that we read about in the newspapers about the passing of Dr. Delplace. It does seem to have shaken him up a little. I suppose it would do, being it's as it's his first job and all that, and his first steps into a career in medicine, and then this unfortunate incident occurred. Most unsettling.
I see you have had some time to discuss the matter with him.
Well, only briefly, you understand, but yeah, the young man seems a little out of step.
Have you been satisfied with his performance here?
He gives you a strange look. I apologize, mademoiselle. I do not see as to where my opinion on his work is of any concern. And what did the two of you say you are here to do other than look through the records? Did you not find what you were looking for yesterday?
No, I believe our subject is. It was some while ago. I think his records are probably buried somewhere at the bottom of a pile. Yes.
Perhaps you've heard of the subject of our research, one Comte Fenelec?
Comte Fenelec? No, I've never heard of such a man.
Yes, quite an obscure time in history he's from.
Obscure, huh? When was this?
Oh, why don't you tell him about it, Richard?
I can't remember either, I'm afraid.
Well, it's during the Reign of Terror.
I'm
Oh,
rubbish with
yeah.
dates.
I know, we've even talked about the Reign of Terror today. Oh, during the Reign of Terror, dreadful stuff, you see.
Perhaps a bit obscure to Americans and maybe even the English, but I would not call such a bloody part of French history obscure.
Yes, you were almost certainly right.
Now, unless there was anything else, I have work to do.
Well, yes, actually, we were, I must say, quite taken with the young Paul's performance when he was helping us, and he, I'm just worried that this is not the best environment for him after his the previous administrator's passing, and we were actually curious about his contract and the possibility of buying it out.
He looks astonished. Buying him out?
Well, the way he explained it to us is that he's working here for money for his education.
We have an agreement with a college in London that Paul was a part of. It is obviously the situation here, and this asylum is under great need, and we secured his pre-graduate work as a necessity. It's the work we need. It's the people to do the work. I'm sorry to say that the French populace is not as always as interested in funding the recovery of or the containment of those who have the maladies of the mind.
Well, I don't believe that is an issue that is unique to the French.
Quite right. And so when you say purchase his contract out, I don't know. He has more than £100 to work before he can be let out.
Well,
It's an awful lot of money.
he reminds me of somebody I used to know, and it would be a very generous thing for you to consider his struggle for the right words. Yes, I mean, he seems like a man with a promising career. I believe he could do with a little break, a rest from his current undertakings, given the stress and the trauma of the passing of Dr. Delplace, and it would be very gracious of you to allow us to settle that contract and maybe give the poor young man a break.
I think, given your tactic here, Professor, I think you are going to have to lie through your teeth to get that to happen. I think you are being fairly persuasive.
He's trying. I wouldn't. Yeah.
I feel like a persuade is reasonable enough.
Okay. Yeah. Come on, dice. Ooh, 33. That's a normal success.
Very well. While I would be disappointed to lose his work if you were to pay the sum of his contract plus a 10% release fee, I would be happy to allow it to happen.
And I mean, he may well decide that, given a little time to recover, to convalesce, and of course, mental injuries are clearly important. I mean, a man of your position must surely appreciate that. He may elect in due course to return and complete the remainder of his services, but it should be, I think, up to him to decide that. And this would also be, of course, on the understanding, I can see you're a gentleman, that you would, of course, write him a glowing reference for the work that he has done to date.
Yeah, that's another persuade roll.
34 under 50.
Please understand that I don't mean him any personal harm. He did fine work when he was here. As for the several weeks that I have seen him work, I would be happy to write him a recommendation and send it back to his college.
Oh, thank you. That is most gracious. Maggie?
Yes, I do believe so. That's quite gracious of you.
Very well. Then perhaps you would care to step into my office and we can complete this.
Yes. Of course.
You two step away into the doctor's office. Back down in the basement, the records room reveals all sorts of things, Mr. Fraser. Mostly what it reveals is that these stones, this room could deal with a good scrubbing. Even picking these file folders off the floor, you're realizing that it's got to have been weeks before someone's been down here.
Oh yes, I'm picking things up very delicately with my thumb and index finger, holding them at arm's length away from my nose.
Unfortunately, it's not even enough to keep some of the worst of it from getting under your nails. You know that you'll be cleaning them at first moment that you have. Although it is somewhat productive, and so probably around the fourth or fifth folder that you fully look through. And certainly not the one Mr. Fraser handed you, Lady Elizabeth. Not even the right era.
So it's a recipe book, I think.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's a wonderful stews that you found, although nothing to do with the Comte. Lady Elizabeth, you do come across a record of Comte Fenelique being admitted here. It's a very short record, but it does give you an accurate year, which matches up with the information that you already have. And so you know for certain now that Fenelique was here.
He was definitely here, Fraser. And I just waved the file at him.
Oh, you found something, Your Ladyship. Well done. I don't seem to be having any joy here at all.
Yes, well, I know you're not as much into the library sort of thing, especially in French, so...
I have a smattering, but no, indeed. Research of this nature is really not my forte.
Well, that's why I'm here. And I've found this record here. He was definitely admitted at the time we believed him to be admitted here. But there's not a whole lot of other information. I'll have to keep looking.
We'll see if we can find out what became of him.
Yes, it's quite unlikely he had a very good experience. Just sort of looking around and delicately sniffing. But I would like to know if he left or if he stayed. If you catch my drift, Mr. Fraser.
I do indeed, Your Ladyship. Yes.
As you continue to look through the files here, you notice that the somewhat amber-colored light bulb that's in the room here, which seems to flicker a bit, and it does it both visually and auditorily. So the flickers, the tapping that happens when that electrical current runs through the filament, it seems to tap out 2 or 3 different times. Comes back on, goes off momentarily, comes back on again, and then stays on. And you can't help, Mr. Fraser, you can't help but look back at that light and watch it flicker back and forth.
Did you see that, Your Ladyship? There seems to be some electrical fluctuation.
Very strange fluctuation.
I am put in mind of what Mr. Maverhaven spoke about the passing of Dr. Delplace and his manner of departure from this mortal coil.
Maybe his ghost is down here trying to tell us something through the light bulbs.
No, you're funning me, Your Ladyship.
Yes.
Still, I do wonder, though. This experimental treatment he spoke of, and it's all very peculiar. I can't help but think there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yes, well, hopefully the others have managed to get a hold of those records.
Aye, fingers crossed. I hope they haven't encountered any trouble in that respect.
Well, I wouldn't put it past them to grab the box, run, and set fire to the building on their way out, but let's hope it's not that.
Well, indeed, no. With us trapped in the basement, I certainly do not.
Why don't you both make these spot hidden rolls?
Okay.
Right.
Playing to my strengths tonight. 49 under 53.
Okay.
Let's see how we go. That's 55 under 74.
Lady Elizabeth, you notice it first, but Mr. Fraser's close behind. There seems to be a bit of, I don't know, is that fog coming from under the door? It's seeping down into here. And it seeps...
Definitely fog, not smoke, yes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't roll like smoke. It's definitely fog. But it's coming in through under the door and through the cracks on the sides of the door as well.
Can I make a natural world roll or something along those lines to see if this is an unnatural thing that it's... I mean, it seems to me to be an unnatural thing, but just to see if this is something that shouldn't be happening.
Sure, go ahead.
don't have much in the way of it, but I did roll a 09
Not much is needed.
against 23. Was my...
You've seen many things in your day. But you've never seen fog roll through a door in a basement.
Your Ladyship, I think we should leave this place right now.
What is that?
I don't know, but it's not natural. There's something going on here. I think we should meet up with the others, and something is going on here, and I don't like it.
Now, Mr. Fraser, you remember that door is shut. So it's not open in the slightest. It'll have to be open before the two of you can get out.
Does the fog have any sort of smell or feel or anything?
No, the temperature has definitely dropped in this room, though.
Okay.
I am going to reach for the small sidearm that I brought with me for protection. I haven't brought my rifle with me because that's a little bit unwieldy. But yes, I do have a small pistol with me, and I take it out of my pocket, and I will very carefully open the door. Your Ladyship, just stand back for a minute, just in case there's anything out here. If it's coming out from under the door, then we may encounter considerably more of it on the other side.
I'm gonna take my handkerchief out of my pocket and hold it over my nose and mouth just in case.
Okay. Good. Mr. Fraser, you walk over to the door. It's probably 3 or so paces to the door, and you reach out with a hand to the knob, still firmly pistol in hand to be sure, and you open the door. And when you open the door, Lady Elizabeth, you feel a hand caress your face. It's a male hand. You can tell from the shape and the size. And while you don't see the hand, it reaches under the handkerchief and almost cups your chin in a very paternal way. At the door, a column of fog that spills into the room. All over you, all over the floor, Mr. Fraser. It feels like being covered in feathers for a moment.
I mean, I'll try and step back. I was intending to just open the door a crack and then open it a bit further out. So if I see it spilling out of the way, I'll kind of try and step back out of the way. And if I can't avoid it, then so be it.
Quite
I
easily.
let out a startled scream at the feeling of a hand on my face.
Your Ladyship,
Something moves at the doorway, Mr. Fraser.
Something touched.
who's out there? Make yourself shown.
You hear the tapping of heels, like boots, in the hallway. There's someone out there moving.
Speak. I have a pistol in my hand.
If I put my hand up to my face, can I feel anything there?
You reach up and you feel almost the after impressions of the physical form that was there. You hear in your ear, in a language you'd not heard spoken except in your own classes, the Latin classes you took as a child.
What a beautiful gem you are.
Ooh. Mr. Fraser,
There's somebody out here.
someone is in here. We need to go.
Aye. Can I try and peer through this fog to see if I can see what is here?
Yeah, you'll have to step a little closer because of the thickness of the fog, but if you can make a hard spot hidden roll if you'd like to see through it.
Stay behind me, Your Ladyship. That's an 18. So that's an extreme spot hidden, I think.
Yep. So you peer, you use that hawk-like vision you have, and you peer through the fog into the hallway, which is clouded with this low-lying and somewhat high-lying as well fog, which has filled the corridor almost. Although it's not super thick, it's not like a smoke, it is definitely obscuring your vision. And you see a man standing not but 10 feet from the door. He is dressed in the finery that the French might wear hundreds of years ago. And he looks directly at you. And when he does, your body hurls from the position that it's in out into the hallway. And you collide with the stone walls of the basement. And so, Mr. Fraser, you're going to take 6 points of damage.
Oh my goodness.
At the same time, Lady
Can't
Elizabeth,
even
that
resist
you see... No, there's no resistance to it. At the same time, you see an image appear in front of you. A French gentleman with a powdered wig and all. His face is an older man, maybe in his mid-50s. He is beautiful in a way, and yet terrifying in another. His eyes rim with the tones of blood orange. And he repeats his line from the Latin previously of what a gem you are, but he repeats it in flawless French and then evaporates into the fog. And now you make a sanity roll.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Nope. 88 over 68.
So you're going to lose 4 sanity.
Oof. No sanity roll for me?
Yeah, take one. Why not?
Why did you ask that,
Because
Spike?
I'm a masochist. Alrighty. What's my current sanity? It's not great. That's a 0-2. I am.
Oh, you've passed. So I will take a point of sanity from you.
I can deal with that.
And with this clattering, this mess in the hall that you've fallen into, Mr. Fraser, you hurry to recover your feet as the fog which held up this hallway evaporates into the stonework around you. It just burns away.
I will struggle to my feet and run back over to Lady Elizabeth. Your ladyship, are you all right?
She's just sort of looking at you, wide-eyed, pale, hand shaking. Mr. Fraser, I do think you're going to have to agree with me about ghosts from here on out.
The hell was that?
I believe it was Monsieur le Comte.
Let's get out of here.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Griffin, you arrive. You begin coming down the stairs at this point, if you're searching for them.
What's all this fog down here?
Who's that? Oh, it's you. See.
Mr. Griffith, we need to leave immediately.
Do you got your paperwork here? Did you grab some files?
I've grabbed the papers that reference the Comte and I shoved them into my bodice.
You can see that Mr. Griffith has a box in his hand.
I got the box. I don't know what's in it, and I almost shit my britches getting it. So let's get out of here.
Yes, out is best. Now, quickly, please.
Yes, come.
Mr. Fraser, your arm, please.
Yes, of course, your ladyship. Take my arm.
Lady E, you look like you've seen a ghost.
Yes, quite.
Let's just go.
We'll explain later. Come on.
You will probably notice that Mr. Fraser has got a gun in his hand as well.
You might want to put that away. The grill is at the gate. Might not be appreciative.
Yes, I.
The three of you get back upstairs onto the main floor after a bit of soreness and difficulty from walking from you, Mr. Fraser. But your shoulder and that right hip took a pounding against the wall. You encounter Paul. He's in the hallway talking with a patient, and he looks over at the three of you with a fairly worried look in his eye. He seems to settle the patient for a moment and then steps over. Is everything all right?
Well, let's say the situation is a little foggy. I'm checking to see if he reacts to that at all.
No, he doesn't.
Okay. It's time we were going. I think we have what we came for.
Very well. I haven't seen your professor friend and Maggie yet, but I assume they're speaking with the doctor. He seems to grip his hands a bit. He's wringing his hands, sweaty as they are.
Gonna look over and say, Simon, I thought you were looking after them.
I kind of had to get out of there. It was awkward. Miss Maggie said she was fine.
Paul looks down at the box you have under your arm. Is that... I don't want to know. I don't want to know. He turns around.
I think the three of us should exit stage left so that we're not here with that. And also, Mr. Fraser needs some attention. And we can have the others follow us.
I'm fine, your ladyship. Simon, give me that box over. You go and get the others. We've got to go. We really should go.
All right, I hand the box over. Paul, can you... let's head back to the doctor's office. I think we need to head out. Would you like to come with us? Can you leave a little early today?
I'm scheduled to be here all day. He looks at you, Mr. Fraser. Would you like me to look at that? I could maybe assist.
I'm fine. Thank you all the same. So I'm fine.
So cut back to Dr. LaRue's office, and he's now having a smoke and offering you coffee as you settle up the bill, as it were. Cash or check?
Oh, I think we can pay cash.
Yes, I think cash would be most agreeable.
So, Richard, you go into your suitcase of money, pull out, the required amounts, and it isn't lost on Dr. LaRue that you have a whole lot of money with you, because it's difficult to hide in there.
Maggie would like to cover some of it as well.
Okay, so okay, fair enough.
I'm like, no, don't worry, Richard. I can cover some of it as well.
Okay. Richard shoves a wad of cash back in the briefcase.
So you just have a wad of cash and I'm a wad of cash? Because my spending level is $50.
Sure.
And my cash is $300, but
okay. I
probably only have 50 on me.
You probably only have 50 on you, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Richard has 10,000
pounds.
10,000 pounds in that suitcase.
So, some of it's in pounds, some of it's in US dollars.
He looks at the two different types of money and just stuffs them in his pocket.
Yeah.
Very well.
Cash
He takes out a bit of paperwork. It looks like he takes out an employee file and then writes something on it in French. He says, I will officially end his employment here in good standing. He takes a stamp out and stamps the file.
Mm-hmm.
And I shall send the letter of recommendation to his college shortly.
Thank you. Much obliged.
Well, I do have some duties to attend to, but I hope that you were able to find what you needed.
Well, yes. I hope my colleagues did indeed, and we'll let Paul know. And he, as I say, he may choose to return later, but a little break for him, I think.
I wish I was I wish I was fortunate enough to have friends such as you, Professor, who would have seen me through my trials. But no matter. We all have a different road.
We do indeed. And, well, thank you again for your time.
Indeed. He nods to you, and then he gives you a pleasant bow a bit, Maggie.
Yes, Maggie will do like a half curtsy. Formalities. Well, hoping Paul's not mad at us, but hopefully he, believes us that they're going to write him a good letter.
Simon, you return to the upper part of the office building there. The secretarial desks are beginning to fill up in the morning, but you just kind of march past them into the personal secretary's office. And that's where you meet Maggie and Richard, who are coming out of the doctor's office.
Miss Maggie, Professor, are y'all ready?
Yes, our business has been attended to.
Yes, let's go.
Is Paul with me still?
Yes, Paul's with you.
Paul, we have some news for you. We have discussed your standing with Dr. LaRue, and he has agreed to have us buy out your contract and provide you with a strong letter of recommendation based on your excellent work while you were here.
Paul gives you a stunned look. His mouth slowly opens. That's unbelievable. Well, he straightens up a bit. I'm astonished.
The door is open if you want to come back here and do further work in the future, although, and Richard looks around, if you really want to, I'm sure they'd have you back.
Yes, I think I'll pass.
Yes.
For now. I'd like to continue my studies. Maybe take the summer and I don't know. A class won't start up till the fall, so maybe some relaxation.
I think that would be a splendid idea.
Well, I do believe we should be making our way out of here.
Oh, very well.
Did you have anything that you need to gather, Paul, while you're leaving?
Not a single thing. He turns around.
Okay.
Miss Maggie,
Yes.
we gotta go.
Yep. I'm right behind you.
Actually, I'm gonna make sure you go in front.
I'm right in front of you.
Good. Let's be getting off then.
Does Richard sense anything slightly, what's the word?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Well, we're all, and Maggie's only sense is, well, we gotta get this box past the car.
Yes.
You notice I don't have the box.
Oh, you don't have the box. Oh. Okay. Mr. Griffith, did you lose something?
Just you two. Now let's get moving.
Okay.
The three of you meet up with Lady Elizabeth and Mr. Fraser, who is probably still favoring his right leg a little bit.
Yes, I'm a little bit stiff and sore.
I believe we are all, including Mr. Paul here, heading to the Bristol. I believe we need to have a talk, and we've got some stuff to go through, right?
Yes, let's head out.
The six of you with Paul now, leave Charenton, and later that day, Paul does not go to the Bristol with you. So Paul
Bye, Paul
lets you know that he has a flat here in Paris, and that, again, he would be happy to look at your maladies if necessary, Mr. Fraser.
I think once we get out of the hospital grounds, then I'll feel a bit more comfortable about letting him have a look at me.
So just on a cursory examination. Oh, wow. Paul's an excellent doctor. Paul goes into his case a bit and takes out a few medical items and gets you back a hit point.
Thank you very much. I think
take these and
might have
mind your
cracked a bit.
drinking. Yeah. I don't think it's maybe it's cracked, but just if you could, he kind of shows you just maybe favor this side a little bit, but not too much. And here, keep this bottle with you. Take a dose twice a day for maybe a week. I'm sure you'll be right as rain.
Oh, hi. Yes, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
It's been wonderful. Thank you again so much. Yeah, I'm still flabbergasted. I don't know what to say.
Well, no one should be stuck in such working circumstances, so you'll be a better doctor for it, I think.
Yes, I think sometimes in life you just try to help the people you can where you're at.
Exactly. And, you're more likely to stay alive outside of that place.
Probably true. I can't say I'll miss seeing those, the orderlies every day.
Yes, it's much healthier for you, and they'll just have to find someone else to put their ire upon, I suppose.
Knowing them, they will.
Or on each other. That's the best possible outcome.
Again, he tips his hat to you all. Good luck in your travels.
Yes, well, thank you for your assistance.
The least I could do. The five of you return to the Bristol. The fog of the morning has lifted. It's not even on the streets of Paris by the time you exit. In the box, there are a ton of different files from the doctor. But one of them is definitely standoutish. The journal entry of the doctor has certain excerpts. Now, some of them apply to what you're doing and some of them don't. And so this is handout here explains the entries which are specific to what you're looking for. And given that there are 4 entries, could I have 4 volunteer readers?
A dismaying event last night. A male nurse, one Guimard of 4th Ward, entered the cellars without authorization and there, after suffering a painful wound in his right arm, collapsed. Another nurse, investigated Guimart's absence and after some time discovered Guimart on the floor. In severe shock, treatment was prompt and efficacious, but upon regaining consciousness this morning, Guimart began raving to me about being attacked by a dead man. For the moment, I have placed him in room 13 and notified his landlady of his indisposition. Alas, with Guimart was another man, one unknown to this institution, and in tragic physical condition. Many grave questions must be answered.
I began to question Guimard about the stranger. Is he a patient? What is his name? How long had Guimard kept him down there? Had Guimard kept the stranger there for a long time? Long enough that the mortars sealing the room had cured to such condition? Had he given him nourishment? How had he survived? I'm moving the stranger to my private wing, for the moment treating the man as an inconsequential derelict, until more evidence is found.
Even in a fresh bed, the stranger's appearance is horrifying. Given small amounts of broth, he merely regurgitates it. He takes no nourishment, yet lives in a catatonic state. Would electroshock revive him?
After several applications, the stranger woke, but so weakened that he could not move. He whined and begged in different and very old forms of Greek and Latin, tales of cities crumbling and of other darker things. What a mystery man. It is almost easier to think we have tapped some form of group mind or racial memory.
Those are readings from the journal of the doctor. And that is where we'll leave this episode to a close. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having your ears next time.